Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with his security cabinet this week as Israeli media reports he is preparing to push for a full military takeover of Gaza. Last night, he met with U.S. officials in the West Bank, including House Speaker Mike Johnson. Andrew Boyd is the former chief of operations for the CIA Counterterrorism Mission Center. Andrew, great to see you. Can you walk us through what an
Thank you,
Israeli
Isha.
Can you walk us through what an Israeli takeover of Gaza would look like? What does that mean?
Well, the Israelis have occupied Gaza before, and it's a very complicated issue for Netanyahu, wherein he's getting quite a bit of opposition from even his chief of staff in the Israeli Defense Force, Eyal Zamir. Um, I think there's actually a large contingent of retired security officials in Israel who are also opposed to it, who claim that one of the three goals that Netanyahu has established in Gaza, the defeat of Hamas, the return of all the hostages, and eliminating permanently Hamas as a threat to Israel. A lot of these retired security officials, generals, and intelligence officials would argue Hamas has already been defeated. And from a strategic perspective, they don't pose a threat. But what does pose a threat in the minds of these retired security officials and possibly even active duty officials is that Israel's reputation in the world, allowing starvation to happen in Gaza, is going to have a deleterious effect permanently on Israel. And in reality, Netanyahu is making these moves to satisfy the far right of his party, whereas the majority of Israelis are opposed to this move and reoccupying Gaza.
And Andrew, with every big development in this conflict, the concern is always an expansion of the conflict. What could this occupation mean for the stability of the region?
I don't really think that's the issue. I think this is really an internal issue for the Israelis and obviously for the innocent Palestinians, not Hamas, but the innocent Palestinians who are suffering from this. I do think this is an existential issue politically within Israel and its reputation globally. I do not think the conflict in Gaza is going to lead to wider conflict, and we do need to contrast what is happening in Gaza with the extraordinary victories that Israel has had over Hezbollah, and then multiple times since October 7th, 2023, over the Iranians. These are very different things. But I really do not think anybody is interested in expanding this conflict.
And to your point about the humanitarian catastrophe, Israel now says it will allow controlled entry of some goods into Gaza through local merchants. What do you make of officials giving that a green light? Is it anywhere near enough?
I don't do humanitarian aid, but my understanding from the United Nations and others is that is a drop in the bucket for what is required for Gaza from a humanitarian food, medical supplies, and even for merchants to be able to sell goods so that they have a living. I really think that's theatrics. In order for the people of Gaza, the innocent people of Gaza, to survive, they have to actually have a constant flow of food and medical supplies. And I actually think that's what the Trump administration wants as well. When Steve Witkoff, the President Trump's representative, was in Israel, he was looking for a comprehensive truce, a comprehensive peace plan that would include adequate supplies for Gaza, as well as the release of all 20 living hostages and a ceasefire. And I think it's a shame that has not been implemented.
And speaking of those hostages, we have seen the horrifying images of the video that Hamas released of one of them. Can you tell us more about what you know and why Hamas is putting this out right now?
I mean, Hamas is violating, every standard in warfare. The list would be endless. Showing civilian hostages clearly not adequately fed. But I assume, from a propaganda perspective, what Hamas was trying to achieve was to show, the contrast and to put pressure on Netanyahu, showing Israeli citizens starving, and frankly, it has had that effect. There's been greater protest in Tel Aviv demanding that these hostages be released.
Andrew Boyd, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Weijia.